Hey mamas, welcome to Breastfeeding Relief with Bethany. We share incredible stories, tips, and breastfeeding ideas to help on your journey. I'm your host, Bethany Laverne, a lactation consultant and speech therapist who helps mamas with breastfeeding. Not all breastfeeding stories are the same, and we dive into those topics. Welcome, Katie, to the podcast. How are you today?
Hey, Bethany, thanks for having me. I'm doing great. It's beautiful out. Spring has sprung here in New Jersey, so doesn't get much better after a long winter.
Here in Indiana, it's going to be 75 today, so I'm super excited.
Woo.
I know, yeah. So, Katie, why don't you tell everyone about yourself and how many kiddos you have?
I'm a mom of four. I have all boys. Yes, it's true. Some of us are in the minority. I have four boys. They are range in age. My oldest is 8.5 and my youngest is 1.5. And there's two in the middle. So we're busy.
Yeah, I hear that. I'm also a boy mom. I only have two. So
so far,
yeah. Who knows if that journey is going to continue? Maybe.
Every time my mom friends with a couple boys text me, they're like, Katie, ... And I'm like, you don't even have to say it. You're pregnant again. You're having another boy. I know it. It's happened twice with two of my best friends. So
oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty sure if I have another one, it's just going to be a boy. I mean, don't even hope for a girl. It's just going to be a boy. Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and tell us how your breastfeeding journey went?
Yeah. So I breastfed all of my boys for a year. It was kind of a loose goal that I set for myself with my first. And kind of once we hit that mark, I decided that in my subsequent, with my subsequent children, I was going to aim for that as well. My first son, you go in really blind to your first labor and delivery. And we lived in California at the time. We delivered at UCSD Medical Center, which is a baby first hospital. So although I worked with an OB, the whole vibe of the hospital was very, skin to skin, breastfeeding positive, all of those things. So that was kind of my first introduction to it. A lactation consultant came by, helped us latch, but as a new mom, I didn't really know what to expect. And my son, they gave me a nipple shield to kind of help with breastfeeding at the beginning. And I used that thing all year.
Okay.
And nobody ever said to me, the goal is to wean this, like there's a way to transition out of this.
Okay.
And so that was kind of, something that we used and it worked for us. And then when I went into my second childbirth experience, I started to really get a lot more connected with the resources out there for new mom support groups, lactation support groups, all the things I, learned baby wearing and all the things that I didn't know the first time around. And so I approached that breastfeeding journey with a little more knowledge, a little more confidence. And then by my third, I kind of felt like an old hat. And my fourth, I'm like on the run, breastfeeding with one hand, chasing a toddler around. So there's a lot of knowledge and experience, but I breastfed them each for a year. And while there were some similarities, there were some differences too in each journey. So
awesome. Yeah. What is one thing you wish you would have known about breastfeeding?
Oh man, I wish I would have known that it's an all-in commitment. When you exclusively breastfeed like I did, I am blessed to have been able to not return to the traditional workforce after I had my kids. So we did a real attachment style parenting where we breastfed on demand, basically around the clock for a year. Of course, each of the kids had different sleeping patterns and things like that. But when the baby cried, it was first put them on the boob and then what goes on. And it really, it's an all-in mentally, physically, spiritually. It's a very, very taxing relationship to be in. And I feel like there's not a lot of language and communication about that. And I think there is a lot of expectation for moms to really kind of just power through that. And at sometimes, like as I finally got into with my fourth, when I had 3 young kids and I held myself to this bar of like, we're going to make it a year. I started to hit real burnout when of what my body was demanding of me, my sleep. And I really wish that there was some just better support for new moms going into it, just across the board. I always say to my fellow moms and anybody else who will listen, really, that you have a baby and they kind of just throw it at you after you have it, and they're like, here you go, good luck. And from every single angle, you have people telling you what you should and shouldn't do,
Mhm.
and they have their opinions, and what works best for your family is not going to be what works best for every family. And, it's kind of like you're the blind leading the blind sometimes is what it felt like. And breastfeeding really had a lot of that as well, with ties, and having my kids like looking into getting tongue tie procedures and lip tie procedures, and then having them, grow into their mouths, and kind of just going through that. My third son was born right before the pandemic started, so that added an additional layer, because a lot of that immediate postpartum support of breastfeeding support groups and things like that kind of became unavailable. So yeah, I just wish I wish there was easier access to support from other moms and other professionals. And I wish that it was communicated more to moms to find those services, access those services as new moms, and as pregnant, moms as well.
Yeah. And that is what I'm trying to do, is help moms find that not every journey is the same, and not, not even every baby's the same, and you are going to get thrown a lot of stuff. I've also started doing free trainings every quarter. And so I have another one coming up in June, and I try to have 20 different speakers talk on all different topics, to help mom find support and find someone that connects with them, because one sleep consultant you may connect with great, and one you might not. And so even on my not on my podcast, on these free trainings I'm doing, I also ask other breastfeeding specialists to come on, because you might not connect with me. And I don't do exclusively pumping, but I'm really good friends, hi buddy, with Pump with Purpose. And that's all she does is exclusively pumping. And so I'd prefer you to go see her for her to really speak into you what you need.
And I feel like the feminine energy of moms is really supportive in that way, where as society, we're really encouraged to prioritize like competition and being the best, and being, better than someone else, and being, real protective of your services and your skills. And I feel like moms, we realize there's a need for us to come together and help out. I recently, one of my many side hustles that I do concierge meal planning for busy families. And I recently put out a menu for postpartum. It's based on the wisdom and knowledge of the first 40 days. So I have background in experience working with Chinese medicine. I'm a yoga instructor and things like that. And so it kind of blends, this worldwide knowledge that if you look back, it doesn't matter if you're looking at India or Africa or China or the Middle East, they're treating their women in history. They treated them the same way, they fed them the same foods, they cared for them the same way. And it was largely women caring for other women and supporting and helping other women through it. And so when I had this idea to build this menu, I mean, of course I could have made it $20 to download, or even like $3 or $5 to download, but I'm like, you know what, this information needs to be free. So I have it as a free download on my website. I do offer concierge virtual grocery shopping like service with it, so that you can get, that's part of what I do as my concierge planning, to help busy families just take one thing off their plate. So you can opt into purchasing the accompanying grocery shopping with it, or you can just download the menu, preview say the menu. My idea again behind making it free is just letting this knowledge become common knowledge, and sharing it with other moms and doulas and birth workers and things like that, and just letting everybody benefit from the knowledge, because it needs to be out there. So
yeah. Hi buddy, you got something to share? Yeah.
My youngest product of boob juice.
Yeah, good. You look healthy, buddy. No, that's awesome. I think that's great, and I think it is hard as a new mom to figure out, especially dinners at night. I call that the witching hour from 4 to 7, and trying to, make dinner for yourself and have a hot meal, and also feed your baby. And then they want to continually nurse from 4 to 7. And you're starving. And so I
We're
think
all
that
hangry.
we're all hangry. Yeah. And it's okay if we all cry, and I used his burp
Yeah,
cloth
yeah.
and,
And
more than once.
even just yesterday, I was listening to a podcast about female hormone fluctuations, and the doctor that was on there was saying, 4 p.m. is a common time for females to burn out just because of the natural sequence of our hormone cycles
Sure.
and how our bodies work. And I definitely have that. When I, again, was kind of going through a burnout period, I realized that at 4 p.m., I hit sheer and utter burnout. I put that on my visualization board for 2023, was just like no burnout. That was the number one thing I wanted to try and overcome this year, because that time of day, specifically for me, is very, busy and overwhelming. And if I've been up, especially when I was nursing too, if I hadn't gotten a good rest or a long stretch of sleep that replenished my energy, I was fueling myself on coffee and then expectations. And then also having that nagging feeling in the back of my head that's like, I want my body back, I want my sense of self back. And I did hit that point in every single breastfeeding journey around 7, 8, 9 months, when the baby became more mobile and you get table food and you're like, can I just give him a pouch? And I would say too, I kind of held myself to that 1-year marker, completely arbitrary. And I think that there is some damaging, conversation out there among moms, and these ideas of how long they want to breastfeed for. And a lot of mental health stuff can come of setting your standards to a point and not meeting yourself and your body and your relationship where you're at. And I have a lot of mom friends who have ended up in like the 3 cycle, where they're being instructed by their doctor or pediatrician to, just pump and breastfeed and offer the bottle and supplement. And so they're stuck in these cycles of like, as soon as I nurse, then I've got to pump and then I've got to feed. And I just wish that more moms were encouraged to do what is best for them. And for me, I was blessed with some very little resistance on our breastfeeding journeys. But I know that's not, unfortunately the case for all moms. And we all have to kind of meet that spot where, our bodies are, we're doing what works best for us, and being able to show up like with patience and sorry, we're having a little anarchy over in our kitchen. It happens. I'm sure you know how it goes.
I do. This is real life, mamas. This is what you get when they grow up and can move and talk. Yeah. Awesome. What was one of your favorite breastfeeding products you used?
I relied a lot on some great like boppy type pillows. I always felt like I think maybe my anatomy felt like most comfortable in one specific nursing position on either side. So I used nursing pillows to kind of create that same. Mom, I'll get this big one. Are you okay? You want an ice cube? Okay, that one's stuck to all the other ones. Can you get a cup for it? I'll try to get it out. I'll try to get it loose. So yeah, I used breastfeeding pillows, a lot of good support. And that was pretty much it. I did use a Haka pump at the very beginning nursing days to catch the overflow on the other side. But once my production kind of regulated past week, like 2 or 3, I kind of stopped using that. And I did not pump really or give my kids bottles. My second born was kind of the only one who really got breast milk from a bottle ever. So I wouldn't say I have a lot of experience or like knowledge with pumping or anything like that, but the Haka pump I did use. Okay, 1 second, let mommy finish your phone call, okay?
All right. Well, thank you so much. Can you go ahead and let everyone know how they can connect with you?
Yes. Thank you so much for your time, Bethany. You can find me on Instagram. I am at Queen of the Swains. And from there, you can see the different soul offerings of mine, everything from concierge meal planning, yoga, and beyond. So I look forward to connecting, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Super appreciate all your advice and tips for mamas. Thank you so much for listening in. If you loved this episode, it would mean so much if you would share it with another mama or post on social media and tag me. I want to personally thank you for wanting to help other mamas. You got this. I'm rooting for your breastfeeding journey.